I'm Lisa Stone. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Parenting Aces. We have another great podcast for you this week with Coach Ed Krass. Ed puts on college tennis exposure camp, and this is his 29th year doing those camps. And so he's got a ton of experience in helping junior players get prepared and ready for college tennis. Just to give you a little bit of background on Ed, he was the Harvard women's head coach and coached them to 4 consecutive Ivy League team titles and 4 national D1 team tournament appearances during the end of the 80s, from 86 to 90. And before that, he was the assistant men's coach at Clemson and coached under Coach Creasy there. And he led that men's team to 2 ACC team titles and the number 5 national ranking in 1985. So he's had experience coaching at the collegiate level. He's also coached players who went on to have success on the professional circuit. Ed himself played college tennis at the University of Central Florida. He was there from 1978 to 82, and after he finished, he went on to coach that men's team. In 1983, they reached a number 6 national team ranking. So Ed has some extensive coaching experience, which he brings to his college tennis exposure camp. Ed has graciously offered a $50 discount to Parenting Aces listeners who would like to take advantage of sending their child to one of his camps this summer. All you need to do is contact Ed, and his contact information will be shared at the end of the show, but that phone number is 813-684-9031. That's the phone number for the College Tennis Exposure Camp. Again, 813-684-9031. Just let them know you're a Parenting Aces listener and you'd like to take advantage of the $50 discount for this summer's camps, and they will hook you up. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring Ed Krass on the line, and we will get started with this week's podcast. Don't miss a thing on Parenting Aces. Be sure to sign up for our free e-newsletter so you're among the first to know when a new article is posted. Simply go to ParentingAces.com and enter your email address, then click subscribe in the Subscribe for Updates box on the right side of the page. Thanks so much for joining us on Parenting Aces this week. I have Ed Krass with us, and I'm so excited to have him on the show. I've been wanting to have him on for a long time, and I'm kind of in college tennis mode, it seems, with the podcast lately. So, Ed, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're a busy guy, and the meat of your season is just cranking up, so I think the timing is probably pretty good here.
Oh, without a doubt. Thanks for having me on the show, Lisa.
So I mentioned in the intro that you come from a background of playing college tennis, coaching college tennis, and now you are in the business of helping players get exposure to a variety of college coaches so that they can play college tennis. Can you give us a little bit of background on how you got started in the recruiting world?
Sure. Well, when I was coaching at Harvard in the late 80s, a lot of the players would write me letters. Of course, there weren't any emails back then. But, a lot of letters, a lot of phone calls from parents and players wanting to know if their player would be a nice fit for the program. And, they didn't quite know the profile of that particular program at Harvard. And I said, towards the end there and the end of my stay there, I decided, hey, what a great business to get into is starting camps with college coaches and trying to get the right type of player in there that would like to play college tennis. So that was kind of my transition from Harvard into doing this now. I've been doing it for 29 years, helping kids through our camps.
So when you run your camps, what is the ultimate goal of the time that the kids are there?
Sure. Well, we've got 2-day camps and we got 4-day camps, and both of them, have similar goals. The 2-day camps are very instructional and they're motivational. They give the kids a lot of insight into the process, and it's like two-pronged. You want to give them a great education and a great entertainment time, but at the same time, you also want the coaches to have a good shot at looking at them for recruiting down the road. So it's really a two-pronged program. It's instructional, and of course it does have the recruiting element at the end of the day. If a player likes a coach and a coach likes a player, then off they go for the recruiting visit and all that.
Fantastic. And there's so much confusion over the NCAA rules in terms of making contact with coaches and where can a coach watch my kid play, and when can a coach talk to my kid, and when can my kid talk to a coach? And so how do you stay on top of all that to ensure that your camps are in compliance with the NCAA rules?
Yeah, what's beautiful about our camp is that it is instructional. If it wasn't instructional and it was just a showcase, that would be a very different. So basically, a lot of the parents, they get a little confused between a showcase and a camp. And a camp that we just happen to have all head college coaches instructing. So it's really a nice way around that where, the players can speak with the coaches and the coaches can speak with the players, because it is instructional. And a showcase is a little bit more of a high-pressure tournament format, as you know, and there's a lot of them popping up around the country. And those are platforms that, you really cannot have any conversation directly with coaches.
Right. So what is the difference between the camps that you put on versus, let's say, like the Nike tennis camps on the college campuses around the country?
Yeah, I would say our camps are quite a bit different, is that, we have all head college coaches on the court. So every coach on the court is a head college coach, and so they get to work, directly with, those players. And the Nike camp, they might have an excellent, director that's a head college coach on that campus, but they're usually at the freedom to hire whoever they want as instructors. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I know.
I would say that quality is different.
Okay, so at your camp, you have more than one head coach instructing at a time, right? I mean, it's not just the head coach of that.
Exactly. So that's about 15 head coaches at each camp instructing on the courts. So let's say we have, 55 players or whatever, they'd all get to work with a different coach every 25 minutes. And we have the winners are moving up, learners are moving down. We're keeping score, but it's live ball. It's exciting. We got a little bit of music on. It's a real college atmosphere.
I love that. And off the court, what types of activities are the kids doing?
Yeah, we've got nice seminars. That is, some of our patented seminars are a whole lot of fun. They're kind of informational and they're entertaining, and the coaches get up and speak a little bit about, a particular topic that pertains to college tennis and that might, hit home for them. And boy, are they entertaining talks, because here they are getting up in front of their peers and another 50 to maybe 70 college-bound players. And they're giving, great talks where the kids can take notes and also learn a lot about college tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then, of course, that in the nighttime we take them out on the town, and they can really, enjoy themselves,
I love that.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that have kind of jumped out at you as deficiencies in our juniors as they're getting ready for college tennis? Because we all know that transition from the juniors to college is pretty substantial. I mean, it's not just, you go to bed a junior tennis player and then you wake up and boom, you're a college tennis player and you're all ready to go. There is a big kind of transition phase that I think most kids go through, especially as they're getting ready to start their freshman year. So what are some of the things that you see and that you're hearing from the other coaches that they see as these freshmen come in?
Yeah, there's a combination of things now. I think, to get the real serious preparation, the juniors need to get more practice matches, call up people to put the pressure on during the week so that they can perform better on the weekend. They're not getting the practice matches. As you know, that was being done a lot back in the 80s, 90s when kids would make a lot of calls. There are, of course, a lot of independent, motivated kids that will line up their own practice matches. There's still a lot of good clinics going on that have some match play orientation to it, yet it's very different than having your own 2 out of 3 set match lined up. I think they need three to 4 practice matches a week and take some notes on what's working, what's not working, Lisa. Show their pro, and boy, their pro will get that much more motivated to work on the details when it's time for the clinic and or lesson. I think, 3 to 4 matches a week is such a great learning lesson versus just the instructional lessons, which, of course, are always available and are sometimes excellent. But, you need that competition. There's just not enough of that. And, of course, we do need a little more all-court revival, shall we say. And I think with Coach Bolin coming in to work with the USTA, that might help, because I think he's a big believer in the all-court game. And there are so many college coaches are so big in the all-court game. I think a lot of them would love to see the kids come in with more serve and volley skills for doubles. You don't see that, hardly any doubles out there, yet alone serve and volley in doubles. But boy, when we teach that at our camps, that transitional part, it's exciting, it's motivating, and it's a big, big thing.
For sure. And, even with the practice matches, my goodness, they could have practice matches that are doubles matches. What a radical idea, right?
Well, they could. If they can get 4 players at the same time. If not, they could play the game called one-on-one doubles, which you might be aware of. And, of course, I've been promoting it since 2004 as a tournament format, but it's the half-court serve and volley singles game where you only need another player. Mm-hmm. And the rules are you have to serve and volley on both serves. All points go cross-court. Alleys are good. And, you get half volleys are permitted, but the serve and volley rule is mandatory.
I love that. I'm not familiar with that. Talk a little more about that.
Website. Yeah, check out the website oneononedoubles.com. I'll spell it for you. ONEONONEDOUBLES. And it's really a great game. It's also a tournament format that is sanctioned by the USTA, and we've been doing a lot of it here in Florida, up in the eastern section. And there's a national tournament coming up at the home of the U.S. Open next Saturday with one-on-one doubles.
Really? For juniors as well as adults?
This one's going to be for adults, but I believe that the game will be growing for juniors. Boy, the juniors really do need it, don't you think?
Oh, my gosh. Without question. It's, it's funny watching the college matches, and, I go to a lot of them, and, the doubles that you see at the collegiate level, and I'm not talking about the tip-top teams in college tennis, but more the mid-level teams, you compare that to what you're seeing on the professional level, and there's just such a wide gap there. So there is a lot of room for improvement for our kids. And, it's funny, it's one of those things that's been talked about for a while that, from a recruiting standpoint, if you can show a college coach that you've played a lot of doubles, that you're proficient in doubles, that could be the difference between you and a comparable player, rankings-wise, for a coach making an offer to you.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. If they've got the propensity to serve and volley and have the mid-court volley and the half volley, they got hands, they got quick volleys, that's huge in Division 2 and 3, as you know, because all the matches count as one point. So if you sweep, you're up 3-0 going into singles, right?
Right, which is a huge mental advantage. But even at Division 1, going into the singles up a point versus down a point is huge. So,
it's still real huge. It's huge. I wish they all counted as one, so that it would be just as important. But, hey, at least it's 1 point.
Right. And now with at Division I, with the doubles only being one set, a 6-game set, no ad scoring, it's very quick. So it's important for these kids to get off to a good start in their doubles matches. And you can really tell when you go watch these college dual matches, you can tell the kids who have really honed their double skills.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can. You really can. And some of them are a fish out of water, and some are comfortable with it. And I would really like to tell the juniors and their junior coaches to definitely work on the one-on-one doubles game and, make them really understand the pressure of what that game's all about. Because when I was coaching at Clemson under the great Coach Creasy, they would play this game for challenge matches with no line down the middle. Of course, we do the line now. There was a little bit of cheating going on, not much, but I was very intrigued.
Imagine that.
Oh, yeah. And it was, I was very intrigued with how the baseliners got to be so proficient at serving and volleying on their half of the court. It really made the difference for our team's confidence. And then that translated over to our women at Harvard. And, imagine women serving and volleying on both serves. Well, yeah. We know it's not happening a lot now, but doesn't mean that with the right program and the right coach, it couldn't happen.
For sure. So working on doubles is a big thing that juniors can do to get prepped for college tennis. What's something else that they can do to really get themselves ready to play at that next level?
Another great thing that they could do is, they can read books. Like, for instance, Coach Creasy's book, Coaching Tennis, is really, all the top college coaches have that book, but I would recommend the top junior coaches and coaches get that because it really goes into understanding the momentum management for match play, which is some real heavy, great stuff, very simple, not rocket science. They can understand the directional concepts that are being taught in there. Of course, a lot of the top junior coaches are already teaching this in their singles formats, but of course the doubles formats are in there too. And some other examples of how to handle pressure and how to eliminate the pecking order when you're playing a junior tournament. So there's some books out there. That book in particular is phenomenal. Of course, there's some other ones, that are great on the mental side. I think the juniors have to keep learning to learn, and that's what the coaches are there for, to keep teaching them how to learn, how to improve. They got to learn how to learn. Lisa?
For sure. And, it's interesting, especially for a junior that's been with the same coach for a period of time. Oftentimes that transition to a new coach when they get to college is a challenge because they're used to their junior coach's voice in their head, and now they have to get used to a new voice. And I think that can be difficult for some of these kids.
It can be, and that's why I think when these kids are juniors, sophomore juniors, they need to get out and maybe get exposure to a potential handful of other coaches that are excellent at certain aspects of the game. Maybe they're not going to be their full-time coach, but that's the hard part, I think, when they go to college. They just haven't been exposed to enough coaching styles. So plus, of course, there's not enough attention on that kid like you used to have.
Right.
That coach has 10 players, has to keep them entertained, got to keep working on their game, and a lot of the kids are going to come up with excuses why things are not working out.
Sure. And, it's not just that it's a new voice, but it's a whole new set of circumstances when the kids get to college. And, a lot of the top juniors these days are opting to do virtual high school or, some form of non-traditional high school. And they find themselves in college all of a sudden, having to be back in a classroom, having strict deadlines for turning in papers and test dates and things like that. And once the dual match season starts for these kids, the challenges just get exponentially more difficult because they're traveling, oftentimes through different time zones, and, they may not get back till late on a Sunday night, and they have class at 8 a.m. Monday morning, and It's funny to me when I go, when I travel to the college matches and watch these kids with their laptops and their textbooks, in between matches, trying to get caught up on all their schoolwork.
Yeah, that the commitment level is definitely there. Whether you're playing Division 1, 2, or 3, each one has their own. Every program is different too, how they do things. So that 48-hour visit needs to be, really a good visit, and you got to be looking at a lot of the right things. But, I think a lot of these juniors need to go to some college tennis matches and see what the intensity is like, and see what the kids are doing on the team, and see, exactly what the level of play is. And I think they'll get that's a very motivating thing when you get a junior that's in 10th grade or 11th grade, their coach takes them to a match, or their parents somehow get them to a match. A couple of them would be very, very good. Good preparation mentally for these kids,
For sure. Well, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's been a big pet peeve of mine, is the fact that junior coaches are not insisting that their high school age players attend at least one college match every spring, or depending on where they are and what division schools are in the area, maybe it's a fall match too, or there's tournaments for Division I in the fall. I mean, there's no excuse in my mind for kids not going to at least one college match a year. And from your perspective, you're around college coaches all the time and have been a college coach. I mean, obviously you see the value in having the junior players attend these matches. What are some of the things that they can learn by attending these matches to help them kind of get themselves geared up and ready to play at that next level?
Yeah, I think they can learn a lot. There's, if they actually take their notebook, they can take a few notes down about how the players structure their points, how they react after a point, after a bad point. They can see the enthusiasm of a team. Sometimes after each point, the doubles intensity is out of this world, and it's going to make them get motivated to play some doubles or request some doubles. How to accept coaching on the court, which, they don't get a chance to do. I don't know why, but junior tournaments, no coaching allowed. Now, all of a sudden, they come to college, and there's a whole bunch of coaching, and then there's a lot of fans yelling. So, I mean, it's a huge transition. That's why I run my camp, is to get these kids used to this wild transition. And we do make it wild and make it fun, because that's what college tennis is all about.
Sure. And, let's touch on that coaching on the court, because that's another tough transition for a lot of kids. And every college coach has his or her own style of how they interact with their players during matches. Some coaches are very hands-off, some are very involved, and, there's everything in between. Interestingly, my son has had the opportunity to be the on-court coach for some of his teammates this season when he's been out with injury, and it's interesting to talk to him, after that. And I've asked him, like, what do you say when you're out there? What are you talking about on the side change? And his response is, everybody's kind of needs something different out there. So it's important, I guess, for the college coaches to really understand the needs of the individual player, but it's also the coach is the one in charge. So a lot of times the players have to adjust to the coach's style, not vice versa.
Yeah, and the players have to really learn how to coach themselves too, because a lot of times they cannot rely on the head coach or the assistant coach all the time when things are getting a little rough out there. I think that a good player knows how to coach himself, and that just a little extra coaching when it's needed can take a kid over the edge. I remember when I was coaching at Harvard, of course, those women were so, very tough mentally as it was, and they understood, what pressure was all about, that for me to walk out on the court, I better have something real good to say, keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it specific, Yeah. And they were more into the specifics rather than me getting out there and talking a lot. And boy, that taught me a lot, is that don't talk unless you have something important to say. And don't just walk out there because the kid's winning and you want to, stick out your chest and take the credit for it. Usually if a kid's winning and beating them easily, you really don't need to go out there too much. It's usually when your player is starting to lose a little bit and they're losing momentum. They lost a couple games in a row. That's when a coach can kind of turn the momentum in college matches. And the kids don't get to experience that in the juniors. You have to trust your coach too, and you got to relax and listen to what the coach has to say. And whether or not you can execute it, if you can, that's a beautiful thing. Hopefully you can learn to execute what the coach is saying, because you built up trust. And when you do execute and you start to win, oh my Lord, that's college tennis right there.
Yeah, that's pretty special. It's pretty special. Let's talk some about some of the other aspects of getting ready for college tennis. One of the and I'm using air quotes, this is where I really need to do video instead of audio because I like to use my hands a lot. But one of the, quote, complaints that I hear from college coaches quite often is that the kids come to school in the fall not in optimal physical condition for training and competing. And so I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what type of preparation kids need to do, especially that summer before their freshman year of college.
Sure. A lot of times the kids are either doing a job for the first time, thinking they need to hustle up and make some money, maybe because their parents told them to, but or they're going to the beach, they're relaxing. But some of them are really working hard on their tennis, whether it would be tournaments, practice matches, stretching, sprinting, a couple long-distance runs. They can certainly, pick the mind of the college coach and really take notes on what exactly is it that the coach wants. What's a program that coach would put that player on to get ready for that team? There's a lot of miscommunication because nobody's talking. All you do is pick up the phone or email, hey, coach, give me a game plan on what I should be doing on a daily basis. Let me see if I can at least get ready here.
Well, and I think it's important for the college coaches to understand, too, that, for some of these kids, their work has been on the court, for the past 10 years, 12 years. They have been getting better by playing tennis as opposed to getting in the gym or getting on the track or going to yoga. Maybe their junior coach isn't well versed in off-court training. Maybe they don't have access to, good guidance in terms of off-court training. So the college coaches, in my opinion, some of them are really good about providing a plan for the kids, and others of them are really not good at it.
Right. So, you have to see what is going to be, what's going to work for you. So, some of the juniors have coaches who really have a great plan for them. Sometimes they see a strength trainer that's very well-versed in tennis, weight training, flexibility work, speed work. What about injuries? Injury prevention? Sure. Icing your body. I never used to ice my body, but you see all these smart college players, because they got good coaches, tell them to ice their body now after every match. Because it's
recovery's huge. Recovery's huge. They have a very short window to get themselves ready to compete again.
Right, and the rackets are very powerful, and they, and you string them tight, and off go with those upper body injuries if they're not, if these muscles are not flexible and strong, and you've got to do so much extra work, it looks like, just to be able to compete nowadays. For
sure. And I think to coach. I mean, I think, with all of the technology available now, as a coach, it's got to be very challenging to keep up with what's going on out there and to make sure that your protocols are meeting today's standards. And the standards just seem to be changing almost by the minute. I mean, it's almost as bad as the NCAA rules, right? there's new technology every week. I'm reading about stuff coming out. So to try and keep up with all that while at the same time performing the rest of the duties that a head coach is expected to perform is a pretty daunting task.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of the college coaches, they recognize there's so many aspects to coaching college tennis, besides all the on-court and off-court work and, some of the relationships they have to keep building, with the player and the parents and the I mean, they have to get to become a great promoter of the game too, and really get the community involved. And that can be a full-time job, because look at what a great job Brian Bolin did and some of the other top coaches that are top Division I coaches. They know how to get the people there and make it a legitimate sport. This is a whole other full-time job. I mean, a lot of coaches don't want to touch that end of it, but they learn and they have to. They need to get people there to watch the matches to make it because there's programs are getting cut left and right, and we need to be able to promote this as I think the ITA is well on their way to getting this into a nice 3-hour format. Even though there's some of the traditional folk out there that still don't like what's happening with the shortened version of the matches. But this
I would be one of those people.
Right.
I'm
right.
One
But
of those,
there's been a lot of thought put into this. So, that's another topic too, is promoting and marketing your team, and you just don't have anybody but the coach really to do that right now.
Yeah,
outside of everything else.
Sure, and that's another show entirely, I think. But I will say that I feel like for most schools, they have a business and marketing major at their school, and I've said this before, I feel like the coaches could reach out to the professors in those departments and find students who would take on promoting their team as a semester-long project or a quarter-long project, and that could be a great way to integrate other students outside of tennis into what's happening on the courts and really promote the game that way. But
yeah, that would be a great idea.
It's just one of many I have, Ed.
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Let's get back to your camps. Can you take us through a typical day at one of your camps and what the kids can expect to experience there?
Yeah, absolutely. If they're spending the night at Lehigh University, for instance, which are 2 4-day camps, they wake up in their dorm around 6:30, and they get ready to go for breakfast right at 7, and then then the bus takes them down the mountain, and they get out of the bus or right around it's like a 10-minute bus ride. They're getting pumped up as a team, and then they get out and they probably hear the Doors playing or Led Zeppelin, or it might be the Stones,
cool.
Yeah, they're going to hear some good music, not too loud, but just enough to get into their brains that, hey, we're into something different here. And then they get it warming up, and they get a nice warm up, and then the coaches come out of their coaches meeting, and we get organized too with our game plan. And then we get out there and we put them through the first presentation, maybe 5-10 minutes of learning, and then we all come together as a group that way, and then we get out there and jog and stretch, get the players real warmed up and fired up for a great day, and then they go off to their courts, and they work on their singles match play, and they work on their doubles match play, and we definitely do some one-on-one doubles match play as well. And there's real good high-energy live ball instruction. Coaches can, be a good cheerleader out there, but their coaching style is really on display because they can make the nice corrections, and the kids learn how to receive different styles of coaching at the camp.
Mm-hmm. That's important.
And they get to really learn. Some of the kids come out of their shell after a while because they see that these coaches are having so much fun with the tennis. They can't believe that the adults are giving them that much respect, number one, and showing them that they're having a lot of fun, number two. that now all of a sudden the kids are trying to catch up with having fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so they have, in the morning, they're on the court, and then I assume there's lunch break, and then what happens after lunch?
Then there's a nice seminar about college tennis. Usually they'll get to listen to maybe 4 to 5 coaches give a little short speech, or we may be doing a round table about recruiting questions, which, as you know, the kids can have a lot of questions and the coaches have a lot of answers. It may be like a half-minute question and a half-minute answer, or the coaches usually can speak at least a minute, don't you think?
Oh, yeah.
On a good answer. But if we work as a team, we try to keep it to about a minute so all the coaches can be heard and all the kids can. In the afternoon, usually a lot of the seminars are all about college tennis preparation, and it's good for anybody who's ninth grade. Starting ninth grade if they're playing the tournaments through the 12th grade, obviously. But we get good match play going in the team format at Lehigh, where we do the 4-day camps, and you play you have 2 coaches coaching a team, and there may be 8 to 10 players on a team, and the coaches give them a nice talk before the match, and then they go out and they play the lineup, how they pick it, and the kids get to learn what it's like to be on a college team.
I love that. That's a great aspect of the camp.
Oh, yeah. In the doubles, we do the serve and volley doubles. We don't play doubles. We play serve and volley doubles. So if I talk about it like that, then everybody knows what we're doing. For
sure. No, that's great.
And the ladies really start to enjoy it, too. I know they don't play as much sometimes as the fellas, but they're very athletic. I think they're just as athletic as the fellas if you give them the repetitions. And I think it's a lot of fun. The coaches get a real thrill out of seeing the junior serve and volley in their doubles.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I'm sure the kids love it, too, because it's, as we said, they don't get to play a ton of doubles.
No, they don't, and they have a lot of fun with that. And then every game counts for your team. We use a little bit of that World Team Tennis Billie Jean King style of counting it all up. So then what would happen at the end of the match, it could be 120 for the Red Rockers, and it could be 119 for the Electric Dogs, And
That's
we'll
awesome.
use the nicknames of both coaches. So every coach has a nickname at the camp, and we make it kind of fun and aggressive, That's
great. And so after the competitive play in the afternoon, then what happens?
Okay, now if it's a 2-day camp, then they can go home with their parents, and the parents are usually staying for the whole camp, and they're having fun. That's the first time we've done that is have the parents at the camp. And but the 4-day camp where they're sleeping over, usually the parents aren't there hardly at all. So then the kids would get on the bus they go up to the dorms, and then they go right to dinner. Actually, we take them right to dinner so they don't skip their dinner. They got to have a good meal, all you can eat. And then they go back and have a quick shower, and then they get back with the 3 coaches that are on duty, and they go out in the evening. In the evening, we'll let the students will ride the bus, and the coaches can be in the back having fun.
Fantastic. And the coaches,
yeah.
This is something I've talked about before. The college coaches really are like a fraternity or sorority. They all, as much as they're rivals when their teams are on the court playing each other, they're a pretty convivial bunch of people. And you see them at the tournaments, and they love hanging out together, maybe grabbing a beer at the end of the day, whatever it is. And that's a cool aspect. And, with the NCAA championships coming up in Athens, one of my favorite things is watching the coaches interact with each other. And I think it's such a cool group of people overall. There's some that are better than others, I will say, but overall, I think it's just a fantastic group. And
it is.
For these kids. Yeah, for the kids to have the chance to really interact with them extensively during your camps, I think is pretty unique, and I think it's something they need to take advantage of. what are some of the questions that you've heard come up in your roundtables at your camps, or questions that you wish kids would ask?
Yeah, there's some good questions might be, what do you look for in a recruit? What would be, maybe some tie-breaking qualities that you would look for in a recruit if I'm ranked the same as another kid? And, what would you, Coach, what would you like for me to do? What do I need to be ranked on the UTR? What do you look at more? Besides the video, what are some things, that you would recommend I could do to be noticed by you? Would you like a phone call now and then? Or a lot of the kids don't make the phone calls, so there's a lot of questions that they may be prepared to ask the coaches because they've practiced it with their parents. A lot of them don't even prepare any questions. Some of them are a little bit, they're a little bit hesitant to ask good questions. But most of the kids that come are very, very good about it. They've got a load of good questions. And the coaches, they actually try to stump the coaches sometimes with some really great off-the-wall questions.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. So I want to just wrap up here, but before I do that, I wanted to give you a chance to promote your website and tell folks how they can get a hold of you, how they can sign up for the camp.
Sure. They can get in touch with me. My phone number is 813-684-9031, and that's my office with the College Tennis Exposure Camp. My cell number is 813-478-3384. And my email, they can email ekrass@tampabay.rr.com. And the website is collegetennis.com. We've had that website, since 95, I guess since the computer came out with the Internet. So it's a real nice website. Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is great. And it's got all the details, and families can register right there on the website for any of the upcoming camps, right?
Yep, they can register right there. And we're still in business doing it, 29 years, and we keep getting better and learning more. And, we really are excited to work with the up-and-coming youth that want to work with us.
Well, great. Our mantra around Parenting Aces is #SaveCollegeTennis. The ITA has been promoting the hashtag #GrowCollegeTennis, and I think between your work and some of the stuff we're doing at Parenting Aces, we're going to accomplish both of those things.
Yes, let's do it, shall we?
I think that would be a great plan.
It would be fabulous, and it sounds like you're doing great work with Parenting Aces, Lisa, and it's real nice that you include me on one of the shows here.
Well, I'm so glad to finally get you on. I think you and I have been exchanging messages on Facebook for many, many years, and your name keeps cropping up, and parents will email me and say, I'm thinking about sending my kid to an Ed Krass college exposure camp. What do you think? And I've heard wonderful things about what you do, so I'm just thrilled to finally get you on the podcast.
Oh, well, thanks a million, and we'll be happy to do it anytime, and looking forward to seeing you in Athens, okay?
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Ed. And
thanks
to my listeners, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Parenting Aces.
Tennisballs.com is your one-stop shop for all the latest tennis news, stories, and photos from around the world. Their talented writers share insights from the Pro Tour, the latest tennis technology, and behind-the-scenes looks at your favorite tennis tournaments and events. Check out tennisballs.com. That's 10sballs.com. I'm Lisa Stone, and you've been listening to the Parenting Aces podcast. For tennis parents, by a tennis parent. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe to us and write a review on iTunes. For more information on navigating the junior and college tennis journey, visit us online at ParentingAces.com. As always, a huge thank you to our sponsor, TennisBalls.com.